Hello, everyone. It's Jayden for Student Pages. Hope you're all doing well. Today we have another artist interview for you guys. We are here with Lusaint. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
No, absolutely. It's our pleasure. So, you are a Mancunian musician. Love Manchester. Brilliant place. And yeah, you've just released your brand new single, Neon Lights. How you feeling?
Really good. I'm so happy with the response so far. It's been a really incredible couple of weeks. And, having music released again in 2025 and having music out there again, I suppose you never know how it's going to go, but we've already had two Radio 1 spins, which has been incredible. We've had so much support from BBC Manchester, and BBC Introducing as well. And yeah, I'm really excited for the rest of the year.
Ah, that's awesome because it's just one song out of a larger EP, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going to release, well, it's an 8 track EP essentially, but we're going to do one side of it with 4 tracks from the start of the year for the next few months. And then towards the end of the year, we're going to do the other four. Really excited. It's called Apothecary. It's a very exciting year for sure.
Yeah, no, awesome. I mean, it's a great song to kick it off with as well because I did listen to the song and it's great, you know. I really like I didn't know something immediately came to mind when I listened to it. I don't know if you know like lo-fi music. Really great song to start things off with.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we kind of wanted to bring in, I guess, more of a neo soul sound. I think most of my music, especially at the beginning of last year as well, when I released my first EP. We started on a track called Dark Horse, which again kind of brought in that neo soul jazz sound, and I really wanted to kick the year off with that kind of feel again. I think a lot of my music is sort of more jazz, soul, and pop, but I love like myself, regardless of being an artist, just kind of what I listen to. I do listen to a lot of neo soul, and I love that kind of style. And when I wrote that song in particular, I wrote it actually about 4 years ago. It was something that I felt was the right time to bring out. So really happy with it.
So backtracking a little bit, if you could just tell the people at home how you sort of got into the music industry to start with, because everyone has a very different story here, I think.
So I probably started back in 2020, I think. It was when Love Island was on our screens and was the height of the music industry at the time. And a lot of songs were sort of either going viral on there or yeah, it just seemed to be the time that Love Island was kind of finding a lot of new artists. So 2020, I had a cover that was played on there called More Than Friends, and that had about 45,000 Shazams, I think, in one night, which went crazy. Before that
Yeah,
point,
I
I'd probably,
saw. Yeah.
yeah. So before that point, I'd probably had about 5 tracks on my Spotify that were all covers. At this point, I'd never even kind of delved into my original music. I'd always wanted to, but I'd never kind of got into it enough to a point that I was ready to release anything. So I had some covers out there. This track went viral, and then within 24 hours, it was kind of like my whole world was opened up to the music industry, to a lot of writers, a lot of producers, my manager, music lawyers, all of these crazy things that were happening so quickly that I was completely overwhelmed, didn't know what to do, and had a bit of a meltdown, truth be told. And I kind of thought, okay, where do I take this now? I've kind of got this door that's open. Where do I want to take it, and what do I want to do with my career? And I knew that I'd always wanted to release original music. That was always something that had been on my top of my list that I knew I wanted to do. So I quickly found a manager, and he introduced me to a lot of new writers and producers. I started working with them for about a year to 2 years to kind of really find my sound, figure out where I wanted to take everything. And because of the song that I'd released that was a cover, it was a ballad. So I think a lot of the writers kind of felt like that was kind of the way forward for me to go. And as much as I loved writing this music, I loved performing this music, I still felt like there was something missing from my sound. So I always felt like there was something missing from my music. I listened in general to a lot of jazz, I listened to a lot of soul music. Ella Fitzgerald, Nina Simone, Billie Holiday, Chet Baker, that's always my go to every day. And I knew that in some way, shape, or form, I needed to fit this music into my own. So I was working with another producer at the time that I thought could potentially work around this and help me out. And he massively did. I went after working on so many different ballads, and I was working on one specific project at the time in London. I went back to my hotel room that night, had a bit of a meltdown because I didn't know where I wanted to take my music. So I just thought, I'm just going to put so many melodies and random stuff in my phone, in my voice notes, put it out there, everything that I'm feeling, just put it into my phone. And I then took it back to him the next day, and we'd written the first two singles of my last EP within 2 hours. And
Wow.
from that moment of, okay, this is where I know my sound stands and I feel so comfortable. It was like a weight was off my shoulders. I knew that this was the sound that I wanted to create. So from then on, we've been working together ever since, and we've written all of the songs that I do are pretty much just myself and him. And obviously, occasionally we'll bring in other writers as well, occasionally other producers, but it's mainly just myself and him. He's called, I keep saying him, he's called Bjorn Woodhall. And yeah, we've been working on the music ever since. And it's just kind of been a process from there, really. And we started releasing about a year ago. So yeah, it's been a crazy journey so far, but a great one, a really great one.
Yeah, no, it sounds it. I'm really glad that you sort of didn't just stick to, what you know, and instead decided to actually explore what you wanted to do. I think that's awesome.
I think there's a lot of finding yourself that you need to do within music. I think there's so much about me and my journey that as much as it was incredible to write those songs originally and to figure out that I was still okay at writing those ballads and I could perform them well. And I always actually found in a live sense, because I only really got to perform those ballads a couple of times. And I have to say, I've never ever been so nervous in my life to perform those songs with a band compared to now, which is, everything feels so much more comfortable and so much more at ease because I feel like I've actually found myself and found who I wanted to be as an artist. And there's something really comforting about that.
So, for the new song specifically, Neon Lights, how would you say that one, like, what was the creative process behind that specifically?
I think for me, in general, when it comes to Manchester and Manchester music, there's so many iconic artists that have come from the city. And as much as I love being from there and I'm so proud of being from there, I felt and still feel like there's not enough opportunity for Mancunians in general and Northern artists to kind of pursue a career in their field and in the music field to kind of progress onto a sort of music industry level. I think that it's really lacking, and that was something that I really felt like I wanted to write about. And Neon Lights is about finding something outside of Manchester that is almost like it's untouchable. When I wrote it, it was basically about wanting to get out of that city in order to progress onto something bigger and better. And I guess that was London really, because I knew that everything that I was managing to achieve was all London based, and those to kind of put into perspective Neon Lights, it was if there was this huge sort of fanfare almost in London that was this big music industry affair that isn't necessarily in Manchester, which it's got better. There is more opportunity now than there was even when I wrote this song, because I did write it a long time ago. But yeah, I think it was just about the song in general is about moving on to bigger and better things and wanting something more from your life. I mentioned in there a lot about Tib Street, which is a street in the Northern Quarter in Manchester, which is where I first started singing at a jazz club there like many, many years ago. And when I first started, as much as it was so amazing and to have myself singing in this club for the first time and feeling like I was doing something, I found that over time I was still walking the same streets and doing the same thing and having the same routine, and nothing was really changing. And it did take, I suppose, my break, if you like, was from the TV show. And it just kind of goes to show that one small thing or social media or just a viral moment can really change your life. And without that producer choosing that song that one evening, I don't really know where I'd be right now. But I'd obviously do everything that I could on social media to get my voice out there and to hopefully have my voice heard. But yeah, I think when I first wrote Neon Lights, it was very much about that, wanting more from my life, really. Over time, obviously, as my career has progressed, and last year was the first time I went on tour in France and we had sold out shows. And the fact that my music is now in European countries on radio, and these things are happening, it all feels very surreal. And I think even just from writing Neon Lights 4 years ago and seeing where my journey has taken me within that time, it's been a wild ride, but a very amazing ride.